I've got 2 coffees this morning
Oh.
because that's who I am.
I was going to ask you, Damien. You're starting the day with 2 coffees this morning.
Well, I normally do start it with 2 coffees. One's just off camera and the other one is on camera. But this time, the producer was very, very efficient and got my 2 coffees straight away. So it's working very well. We're at Banjo's Cafe here on Seymour Street in Traralgon.
Yes, what a wonderful place. Come down and have a look at all the wonderful treats on offer.
Well, there's one of them here.
Yes, absolutely. Have a look at that.
The raspberries.
Raspberry tart.
Very yummy, yummy. But today we are looking at Who Am I? This is First Light, discovering our Eden of the East, because Latrobe City
is more than you can imagine.
It is more than you imagine. And who am I? Who am I? There's a wonderful psychologist named Daryl Bem.
What a question.
Yes, who am I? He explored this philosophy we're talking about when we say to ourselves, that's who I am. It's one of those statements, and it becomes self-reinforcing. We say, I'm just not good with names. You say that a couple of times, and all of a sudden it starts to become who you are. You project that out into the world, and you start to notice things about yourself that actually reinforce it. It's really interesting.
Indeed. Daryl Bem first started his studies in research in the 1960s, and he made a formidable, sizable paper and research in 1972. And he did come up with the theory that we reinforce these positions of who we are once we start down the road.
It does. I mean, we say these things like, I don't dance or I'm not social, but what really happens, and we've forgotten, is that we didn't dance once or twice, and then we said it a few times, and then we reinforce it. And it's interesting, this philosophy or this study has been around for over 50 years, yet it's something we still continue to do today. How often have we said, I'm this or I'm that, and we just reinforce it and we shut down the possibility that we could do it?
Brem continues in saying that it just starts to become a natural part of one of our responses. I'm not good with names comes out before you even take an opportunity to listen to what the name may be.
That's really fascinating because, as you know, I showed Noel a video that I watched recently about Clint Eastwood and talking about listening, and it's quite amazing how often we don't listen, but we just project onto it other things, and we say, that's who I am, and just accept it as is without questioning it and looking at for other information that we could actually do something different.
Clint Eastwood will go on to be one of our iconic deities in the future.
Oh, Sir Clint, maybe. Obviously, you can't be Sir because they don't have that in America. But it's one of those things that we do. We create this scenario where we have this self-reinforcing philosophy, and our beliefs are very, very powerful. And one of the most powerful beliefs is that identity we have about ourselves. And I like that what you just mentioned, Noel, about this listening. It's really, really critical.
Very much so. And it's funny how we start to reinforce these positions. I'm not a good speller, so you don't tend to try. I'm not good in public or in amongst social settings, so you don't attend them. You shut it down before the opportunity even is given any consideration. And a lot of us do that. We stay stuck in that little realm for way too long, and a lot of opportunities passes by.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where we say, might say I'm antisocial or I don't like crowds, rather than said, I haven't been in a crowd recently. Slight difference in what you're saying, but it has a dramatic impact on how your life is, the happiness that you have. It's very profound.
Brem goes on to say that we can change this by changing how we frame what we think we can't do. Instead of using I can't, using I usually don't enjoy social gatherings. It changes the whole frame and your mind, and it starts to reprogram that mindset.
It certainly does. So don't back down. Here's I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Noel, very early in my corporate career, I'd be sitting at my desk and I'd get a phone call and the boss would say, "Can you come into the office?" And immediately my body would go tense. I'm thinking, what have I done wrong now? And I'd walk into the office really, really cautiously. And it took a while, I think several years, for me to work out that they were just calling me in the office to give me instructions, not to tell me to get into trouble. But it's interesting how when we talk about that identity of who am I, and we immediately think we've done something wrong, our body tenses. But in most situations, our body will actually lead us because we've got a learned response.
Indeed. And we're programmed. We carry a lot of programming from our childhood, actually. And I'd say you would have been a rambunctious young boy. That's why every time the boss said, "Can you come in here, please?" It was, Damien, put that down.
Exactly.
I was the same.
Maybe that might have happened. But it is interesting when we look at how, when we're talking about our theme today on First Light is who am I? Part of that identity we have is connected to our body learning a certain behavior, and then the body starts to lead with that, and it becomes self-reinforcing again. It's one of those things. It's interesting how we form these habits and it becomes part of who we are, but we notice that when we start to notice that, it's something that we can use quite powerfully to help us move forward.
Interesting question, that. Who am I? Often we put labels to ourselves like what we do for a living, that we're parents or where we live, and not to the core of actually who am I? It's an interesting question, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And then there's this whole embodied cognition study, which is an interesting term, embodied cognition. And it's how we've actually embodied this state. And then when certain circumstances arrive, our body automatically goes to that and then reinforces our situation. Like I mentioned before, all of a sudden the phone rings and it's the boss going, "Can you come into my office?" As soon as I heard those words, "Can you come into my office?" I'm already tense. I'm already working. Okay, what am I? What have I done wrong? What have I, going to get in trouble for? And it's interesting how we carry that, but how we're aware of it, we can actually do something with it.
Peter Wilkeman and Paula sorry, I better get this right, Neardenthal.
That's did very well.
Thank you very much. They and colleagues, they researched this, cognitive and emotions, and they researched how your mind and the cue responded physically in your body. A lifting of the shoulders, a tightening of the jaw. I was going to say claw.
Yeah, well,
tightening of the jaw.
Tightening of the jaw. Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, it works both ways too. You might have your Christmas function and, there's Uncle Harry who is going to say something that's going to upset everybody.
Yep.
There's always one and that will do that. Or someone will say something and it might be, usually it can be a parent as well.
Yes.
A parent can have a strong impact on that. And all of a sudden your body goes to a certain state.
Yes, it does, in preparation for that awkward moment that was studied, and it was found that that's pretty natural. If you think about those physical positions and drop them and relax the shoulders a little bit, it doesn't impact you as much.
Yeah, absolutely. And one way you can deal with that, I mean, it works the other way, like a cat laying in sunshine, the same that we've had that same feeling laying in sunshine. Also that same warm feeling of a coffee.
Held by two hands.
Absolutely. And so, if you want to, bring me some water with a bit of caffeine in it, here's Melissa Etheridge.
Tonight I feel so weak, but all in love is fair. I turn the other cheek, and I feel the slap and the sting of the foul night air. And I know you're only human, and I haven't got talking room. But tonight, while I'm making excuses, some other woman is making love to you. Somebody bring me some water. Can't you see I'm burning alive? Can't you see my baby's got another lover? I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Somebody bring me some water. Can't this aching past? And will this night be through? Wanna hear the breaking glass. I wanna feel the steel of the red hot truth. And I'd do anything to get it out of my mind. I need some insanity, that temporary kind. Tell me, how will I ever be the same when I know that that woman is whispering your name? Somebody bring me some water. Can't you see I'm burning alive? Can't you see my baby's got another lover? And I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Somebody bring me some water. Can't you see it's out of control? Baby's got my heart and my baby's got my mind. But tonight the sweet devil's got my soul. Got my soul. Somebody bring me some water. Can't you see I'm burning alive? Can't you see my baby's got another lover? And I don't know how I'm gonna survive. Somebody bring me some water. Can't you see it's out of control? Baby's got my heart and my baby's got my mind. But tonight the sweet devil's got my soul. Oh, yeah. Oh. Baby's got my heart, my baby's got my mind. But tonight the sweet devil's got my soul.
You awake, and for several seconds, nobody needs an answer from you. You remember the coming meeting. You remember the history from the past one. Your jaw clenches. What do you do?
It's amazing how much stuff we have that gives us tension in our body, isn't it, Noel?
An autobiographical memory, I'm being led to believe that's known as.
Yes, it's a term where we have this thing that's pressing on us, and then what happens is our identity, I who am, starts to process how we actually deal with that. So we might have a difficult situation that we're dealing with, and I think we've all woken up in the middle of the night thinking about something, and we start to ruminate how we're going to go through that and how we're going to deal with that. And that autobiographical memory brings in how we've dealt with things before, and a lot of times we bring in all the mistakes that we made, all the things that we did wrong. And it's something that really shapes who we are when we're talking about who am I. It can reinforce some states that we don't really want.
Yes, psychologist Martin Conway and his colleague Christopher Paydell Pierce proposed that self-memory systems made up of autobiographical memory and the identity working together. So they those two concepts grapple with each other when a meeting's coming up that in the past hasn't gone well.
Absolutely. It does that when you're sitting there in a situation and you wake up and you're ruminating and you're going, what went wrong and you start to stress and you can't go to sleep again. And that's part of that who am I statement that you've got. You're remembering things that didn't go right. Now, we've talked about how this can be something that you can actually control. You don't have to go down that path. It's one of those things. We talk about naming things a lot, Noel.
Yeah, we do.
Because when you name it, when you identify what's going on there, then all of a sudden you've got the power to do it, do something with it. And that's where when you have this waking up at night and you're starting to stress about it and this autobiographical memory is kicking in, you're going, oh, no, I didn't do this right. And you think of all the ways you're going to mess it up. Who's ever done that?
Martin Conway and his colleagues, when doing the research, found that some of those memories can come back when you're going into situations with family members who knew you before you were confident.
Yeah.
This can create a bit of an issue. And I was just thinking to myself then, about often when adults go home for a family dinner, they walk into the home, which is the cue for the old memories. They start to resurface.
They do.
Part of that autobiographical memory. Also, others in the room view you like you were when you're 14 years of age, not as the old you are today.
It's an interesting cycle, because how often has someone said to you, "That's not like you,"
Yes.
when you've gone through some development,
Very much
and
so.
and then all of a sudden you start to shrink back and go, and it's that test. And I think this is nature's way, or if you're into divine creation, God's way of going, testing you. How committed are you to this new version of you? Who am I?
You're right. And you have to continue to push through that because we do change often. And when we grow up and leave our families, we go off in a different direction and then bring those skills and attributes and learning back to the family home. But the family aren't aware of how much you've actually grown.
And that happens a lot. You do, and you come back and they're a bit shocked. And it's one of those things where you're confidently embracing that. And this is that autobiographical memory is really, really important. So when you're thinking about this coming weekend, think about Blinding Lights. And when someone puts that onto you and says, "That's not like you anymore," just stand confident and go, "Well, it is who I am now." Here's the Blinding Lights and the Weekend. You may not have been able to notice, but my coffees have switched over So I finished one, and now I'm on my second coffee, which means I'm probably not going to suffer from sleep deprivation this morning.
Not in the immediate short-term future anyway.
No, definitely not. But sleep deprivation is something that does affect who I am, or who am I? Because a lot of times when we've got that situation, things evolve, things change as we know, and things aren't the same as they always were. And when we get really tired, it becomes more easier to slip back into older ways of doing things, something that might be deep seated, that we might be overcome, but haven't fully integrated as a habit yet. That's really, really important.
Paul Whitney, researcher into sleep deprivation,
Yeah, exactly.
found that changing from what was already known to something new, a rule had changed or something along those lines. Sleep deprivation made that very, very difficult.
It does. It really affects how that our body and our mind operates, and it's a really funny thing where if we recognize it, it's something we can do, but till we do recognize it, we're kind of stuck in thinking it's just the way we are.
It wasn't because tired participants know nothing. It's just that changing the cognitive processes to take on a new rule or reversing a new rule takes a little bit of effort. And when you're sleep deprived, you just struggle to find that energy.
You do struggle to find that energy, and it's easier. Your body then defaults to what it knows most, not best, most. And that becomes an unconscious behavior. And so you actually revert back to some previous behavior. That's why sometimes when you feel like, you're tired, and it's why we tend to get a little bit grumpy when we're tired.
We do.
It's a baser instinct that the prefrontal cortex is not engaged as much as it once was.
Correct. And we go back to those old default programs we learnt in childhood. Like keeping quiet in conflict has worked, but it might not work in that situation you're in.
Yeah, or snapping as well can go the other way when we snap because we're tired.
Correct.
And we revert to that behaviour. But certainly one behaviour that I'm really enjoying here is my coffee at Banjo's Cafe here, or Banjo's Bakery, and the wonderful smell of freshly cooked bread. What is it about that just makes you feel really, really good?
At this time of the year, in the middle of winter, that's called comfort food.
It is.
And it's old cognitive conditioning that's coming back of the warmth, enjoyment of having a hot baked loaf of bread with butter and jam or butter and honey. Brought that warm feeling back.
And the reason I brought that up is because when we're having that situation, especially when we're tired, if we recognize that, we can do something like go into Banjo's Cafe and you get that smell of the bakery, the bread, and it actually lifts you back up again. Even if you're tired, it'll switch that around, and then you'll find that you won't be brought down, which is when we think of wonderful songs, ELO and Don't Bring Me Down.
Wonderful.
It is. It's up next.
the grass. One of these days you're gonna break your glass. Don't bring me down. No, 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 no. I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor. Don't bring me down. You got me shaking, got me running away. You got me crawling up to you every day. Don't bring me down. No, 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 no. Ooh. I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor. Don't bring me down, 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 down. I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor. Don't bring me down. You got me shaking, got me running away. You got me crawling up to you every day. Don't bring me down. No, 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 no. Ooh. I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor. Don't bring me down, 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 down. I'll tell you once more before I get off the floor. Don't bring me down.
Have you ever been in the position where you've walked into a room and somebody has said to you, "You're so strong," but you're thinking to yourself, if only they knew? And have you ever been in a position where people bring their problems to you, but you never release yours to them?
I know this is a big area for you, Noel, because that happens a lot where people, they become seen as you said, the strong one, but then that becomes a burden for them and it starts to build up pressure. And it's interesting how people, they have this perception of the other person. And so that becomes what they go to, but the other person hasn't really dealt with where those situations are. And I know you're very strong on this from the perspective
Yes.
of men being able to seek that.
Very much so. It is difficult for men because men struggle with articulation, how to articulate particularly what they're feeling. And that is quite the struggle. So they tend to bottle it quite a bit.
And it's interesting that perception that people have of us. One interesting experience that stands out for me, and this happened like 20 years ago, is a friend called me up and they said, "Look, I'm calling you because I know I'm not going to have a long conversation about your day to get to the information I need," and said, can you tell me this information because I've got something really important to do right now? And I went, "Yeah, no problem." And it wasn't, to me, I didn't find that offensive, but it was interesting how, how I became perceived as the person you can just go to without having to have that long conversation to make you feel good.
You can go to Damien for this things, actually.
Yeah, kick up the bum, usually. But it's really fascinating how we might perceive someone as being that person and we constantly go to them for that. However, in there, who am I? They don't necessarily see themselves that way. There's a bit of cognitive dissonance going on, but they bring on that persona in that moment, and then outside of that, they they tend to struggle a little bit.
Yes. And some people have that persona that they can deal with life's issues a lot easier than others. So usually those people are approached for answers on how they do that. I think it's a natural course of events, actually, because people have experiences that others have never experienced and therefore are a little bit of a better authority on that circumstance that might have popped up.
Well, and there's this whole perception of leadership as well. When we're looking for leadership in the world or solutions, you're looking for someone that has the answers. Now, if someone wavers or is unsure, it becomes a whole situation where then all of a sudden they're not that leader anymore. And it's quite interesting. I was watching an episode of Star Trek, the original Star Trek. So going back, then was it 1960s? So 60 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a scene where, Captain Kirk was indecisive and McCoy went, no, you cannot be that. You have to be the person that makes a decision regardless of what is going on for you. It was just really fascinating how we can put that projection onto people and not realize what's also going on for them.
Good leader will make a decision nonetheless, be it a good decision or a bad decision. And if it is a bad decision, pause, readjust, and move forward again.
Make another decision.
Correct. Yeah. That's the way it works. Realistically, at the end of the day, we just manage situations as they're presented in front of us. That's what leadership is. You just take a step. When it's time to make a decision, make the decision, for better or for worse. It's much better than staying in a procrastination type holding pattern where nothing gets done.
It certainly is. And that's where, from that perspective, if you're the person who's always been people are coming to and saying, hey, how do we do this? And then your things are being built up. It's also important to recognize that and have someone you can reach out to or have some support mechanism to actually help solve that as well.
Absolutely. Very much so. Sharing that issue or that difficult situation you found yourself in is a very good strategy.
It makes you feel like you've got, a bit of sugar.
Yes.
Here's Maroon 5.
I'm hurting, baby. I'm broken down. I need your loving. I need it now. When I'm without you, I'm something weak. You got me begging. I'm on my knees. I wanna be needing your love. I just wanna be deep in your love. And it's killing me when you're away. Oh, baby, 'cause I really don't care where you are. I just wanna be there where you are. And I gotta give one little taste. Sugar, yes, please. Won't you come and put it down on me?
Oh my gosh.
Right here, 'cause I need your love. Show me good loving, make it alright. Need a little sweetness in my life. Sugar, yes please. Won't you come and put it down on me? Hey, my broken pieces, you pick them up. Don't leave me hanging. Come give me some. When I'm without you, I'm so insecure. You are the one thing I'm living for. I wanna be needing your love. I just wanna be deep in your love. And it's killing me when you're away. Oh baby, 'cause I really don't care where you are. I just wanna be there where you are. And I gotta give one little taste. Yes, please. Won't you come and put it down on me? Right here, 'cause I need your love and sympathy. Yeah, you show me good loving, make it alright. Need a little sweetness in my life. Sugar, yes please. Won't you come and put it down on me? Yeah. I want that red velvet, I want that sugar sweet. Don't let nobody touch it unless that somebody's me. I gotta be a man, there ain't no other way. 'Cause girl, you're hotter than that Southern California day. I don't wanna play no games, you don't gotta be afraid. Don't give me all that shy shit, no makeup on, that's my sugar. Yes, please.
We often do one small thing different and it affects us greatly in our life. But then the opposite happens where we'll often put aside doing small things going, nah, that's not really me.
Some people struggle with it greatly and won't change. They just can't. They feel so uncomfortable leaving the home with a yellow scarf on or something a little bit different, what they feel out of character. They just can't do it.
It's really interesting that where we have one little small thing that might, have really no real significance at all, but in our mind, it becomes really significant and affects how we choose to do things. But it also helps us lock in a certain type of behavior and solidify, this is who I am. And we become quite rigid. And this is what's really difficult about that, is that the world is constantly changing and we can get left behind really, really quickly.
Cognitive behavioural therapy introduces in small little doses changes to a person's behaviour or thinking. And slowly but surely that thinking can change.
And it's fascinating, I think, from that perspective, because when we were a kid, we were constantly changing and exploring new things, trying different things. I mean, you wouldn't remember, but when you're a little infant, you're always sticking different things in your mouth because that was the sensation you got, because that was the tasting sensation. Oh, that's different. And you would try that. And then we start to solidify our behavior and say, actually, no, this is who I am. And so little differences we won't change. We won't say, oh, there's a raspberry tart. I'm not going to eat that because that looks sticky. I don't want to get sticky fingers. And it becomes something that we avoid, and then we start to lock in ourselves and we go, this is who I am, and we become quite rigid in our personality.
We certainly do. A lot of research has been done on that. I remember going to Thailand once and I made a vow to my wife that when we go over there, we're just going to buy plates of dishes and try them. What was worse could happen was we didn't like it and just pushed it aside.
Yeah.
We ended up having some wonderful culinary experiences.
It's interesting, isn't it, when there's all these different things out there and we reject things we've never tried because we just say, oh, that's just not us. But when we actually try it, well, one way you'll find out whether you do or don't like it for sure. Especially if you approach it with the attitude of, okay, there's something a little bit, I'll approach it neutrally and go, okay, what's going on here? Like a lovely coffee from Banjo's Cafe here in Traralgon on Seymour Street.
Yes. Or you can come and try one of their wonderful pies, sausage rolls or cakes.
Raspberry tart.
Oh, they also have beautiful loaves of bread on offer.
They do. So, and it's one of those things, just trying something instead of, looking and going get the same thing all the time. You go, well, one little thing, one little change can make a significant difference in how we do something.
You know what I've adopted nowadays? When I take my wife out for dinner somewhere, I'll select an entree I've never heard of, I've never seen before, never tried, and try that just to introduce different experiences. And sometimes when I'm really risque, I get 2 entrees that I've never had before.
I do like that. I've gone to a restaurant like yourself, though. Instead of ordering one main meal, I just order a bunch of entrees because you get it's like a tasting plate.
Yes.
It's very exciting. But it's one of those little things that we do. We can lock ourselves in with our identity and go, no, this is who I am, and I'm not even going to try that because it's not who I am. Or we can just go, oh, I'll give it a go and we'll try that and see what that's like and explore different things.
Because after all, it's just a moment out of your life. Yeah. It's not life-changing or detrimental to who you are or what you're going to be. In fact, it might even grow you in character.
And what you might find is that everyone's has fun tonight, is Wang Chung.
Drive 1,000,000 miles to be with you tonight. So if you're feeling love, turn up your radio. The words we use are strong, they make reality. But now the music's on. Well, baby, dance with me. in the world tonight. I hope it's safe and sound. I'll hold you so close. Just let yourself go down. Pick it up. Pick it up. Move it down to the ground. Pick it up. Pick it up. Get out what's inside of you. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun. On the edge of oblivion, all the world is Babylon. All the love and everyone, a ship of fools sailing on. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Across the nation, around the world. Everybody have fun tonight. A celebration, so spread the word. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody Wang Chung tonight. Everybody have fun tonight. Everybody have fun.
Many times we live inside our world, accepting what's given to us as it is, rather than having the confidence to go, well, this is the world I want to live in. And that becomes our I am statement. And this is really, really well represented in the movie The Truman Show, where Truman was fed a lot of information which set the world as it was, and he kind of accepted that until he actually had something that challenged what was going on.
What an iconic movie. And
Uh,
it seems to be gathering strength as we move forward in time.
It does. And this is when we look at our world, we take these things on and just go, well, this is who I am. And which is what this show is about. At first light, discovering our Eden of the East because Latrobe City.
Is more than you can imagine.
And it applies on a regional scale because Latrobe City is more than you imagine, but a lot of people don't perceive it that way. And it's really interesting how it applies to individuals and regions, locations, towns. That perception, that self-perception we have, we then project onto the world, and it becomes self-reinforcing, which is when it can be okay if you're happy with the way life is, but I think most people always want that little bit more. And it becomes a question of, okay, what am I getting? What information am I being fed? But what am I projecting out there to reinforce this? This is who I am statement that I'm putting out into the world and
Correct.
myself.
Shutting down things early, just
Mm.
defaulting to an automatic response, is actually depriving us from golden opportunities of new experiences that we could never imagine.
Yeah. It's really interesting when we start to question that. A part of that is really critical about having an objective of what you want to achieve. What do you want? Because otherwise we can just float through life and just take that feedback and go, well, this is kind of where it is. But when we actually set a clear objective for ourselves, it's interesting how that has a massive impact on us. And we can then decide what it is right for us, which creates a whole different level of happiness in our own life when we go, this is what I'm choosing for me, and start to live that.
Do you think of being shaken out of our comfort zones could be a motivational factor to why we don't try new things and stay in that old automatic response?
It's one of those things, Noel, exactly. This comfort zone is we stay in that comfort zone, but then something will happen which will shake us out of it. Something will upset the apple cart, so to speak. And all of a sudden we start to reassess and do things differently. And a whole new set of light bulbs go off and we go, oh, wow, I can do this. And I didn't really realize that. But it usually takes a bit of trauma to wake us up. It doesn't need to take trauma, but usually does.
Great. You've burst into that favourite shop of yours to buy that favourite cake and it's not there because the oven's broken down. You have to purchase something else.
Yeah, that's a great example. Small little thing like that.
And we're confronted with those decisions on a daily basis. You could burst into a jean shop looking for those particular pair of jeans, go in and sorry, they've stopped making them 3 months ago. So you have to make a new choice and find something else.
It gets a little bit uncomfortable. And even things like an experience I had recently is got a new clothes dryer and put my jeans in the dryer and they shrunk a little bit. Just a little bit, but I noticed it and it was like, oh, this is not. And then it took a little bit of an adjustment to get comfortable with that.
Again, these are the circumstances we're presented with. And sometimes we get grumpy.
We do get grumpy. But it does remind us that, that we've got this opportunity to do things. And this is where we look at the Truman Show. It's really fascinating how we look at those things that are reinforcing this who am I statement. It becomes, we have the option to look at different things differently. It's our perception that creates that reality.
Yes. And sometimes we think we can get money for nothing.
Here's Dire Straits.
way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working, that's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Now that ain't working, that's the way you do it. Let me tell you, damn guys ain't dumb. Maybe get a blister on your little finger. Maybe get a blister on your thumb. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. To the little faggot with the earring and the makeup. Yeah, buddy, that's his own hair. The little faggot got his own jet airplane. The little faggot, he's a millionaire. We got to install microwave ovens, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Move on, move on. Mama, she got it sticking in the cameraman. Oh, we could have some the way you do it. Get your money for nothing, get your chicks for free. We got to install microwave oven, custom kitchen deliveries. We got to move these refrigerators. We got to move these color TVs. Listen here, now, that ain't working. That's the way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free. Money for nothing. And the chicks for free. Get your money for nothing. And the chicks for free. Look at that, look at that.
Separating your behavior from your identity is really, really critical, because a lot of times we resist change because of the perception that people might have of us. We mentioned that earlier about, we might make a change and people say, well, that's not like you. But a lot of times we will resist change ourselves because we are concerned about how other people will perceive us. It's really interesting how that creates a juxtaposing circumstance for us.
Yes, it is. And we're very comfortable with our autobiographical memory and going back through that process, that memory process of who we are and what we've been in the past. But cognitive dissonance it can be one of the resulting factors from that memory.
It creates a really interesting point, because we have beliefs and we'll defend our beliefs, and then we have evidence that comes along and then challenges that. I mean, at one point, a lot of people believed the earth was flat. Some people still do. But the majority of people, when you're there, exactly. And, leeches were good for a fever, those kind of things. We have these beliefs, and now we look at it and go, well, that was kind of silly. But that's part of the reason why we sometimes resist that change, because we might have been having a certain set of beliefs, and then to take something new on board means that we're questioning what we did in the past, and we might actually look at ourselves and go, well, that was a bit silly, and then we start to identify who we are with the behavior that we did. And it creates a situation where who I am becomes really difficult in life because you're conflicting against different beliefs.
Correct. And none of us want to feel silly. None of us want to experience shame. But things do move along, and we do learn things, and which changes our memory or history of how we dealt with things.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things, we don't really have the choice as to what life experiences put on us, certainly at an early age. And how we interpret them as well comes from the experiences that we have got. So this is where it becomes one of those things when we approach it from a different frame and going, well, actually, I didn't really have control over that. And now I've got the option of doing something different, which gives you another option to choose how to do things differently.
It is suggested that if you find yourself in a situation where your past known facts, which you lived and died for, is challenged, is to embrace that challenge and say, well, what information don't I have which may update that position?
Yeah. And I've noticed that with a number of people, very important people in the world today, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to get into like politics of stuff, but they were asked, well, you used to have this opinion, now you've got a new opinion. And they very confidently said on camera, well, back then I had a certain set of ideas and now I've got new information. And I'm operating on that new information, which is why I have this different position.
The world would be a lot better place if we all took that initiative.
It's interesting now if we actually take, and it comes back to what we we're talking about before with Clint Eastwood and listening to what's going on. It's quite interesting how we become set in our ways and we'll defend this and not recognize that, hey, life is a little bit, life changes, and also too new experiences give us new information that we can work with.
Sometimes it's just too difficult to take on new truths. It's just too difficult to realign our values in line with that new truth and advocate on behalf of it. A lot of people just double down and want to stick with the old paradigm.
Absolutely. And changing is not betraying who you were or who you are. It's just identifying that you've got new information you're operating from.
Yes.
And so give yourself a call. Call me. Here's Blondie.
Love me,
family still calls you the clever one, going on information that's 40 years old. You retire and you still refer to yourself as who you are, as your job.
You're still the provider. It's one of those things with identity that this identity may outlive its usefulness and the circumstance that created it. So you've got this idea where this is who I am, and you're carrying that forward and still it's not quite fitting anymore. You have this cognitive dissonance. Everything starts to feel uncomfortable because the identity that you have, you've outgrown it, and we're in different circumstances.
Yes, and life changes exponentially on a daily basis, every moment of
Changes
every
significantly.
day.
It certainly does. And that's one of those things with that flexibility is having that ability to again, listen's a big thing. Listen to what's going on and adjusting to the circumstance, which can be challenging if we're stuck with this identity that we had from beforehand. And this is who I am. Again, we mentioned about being a bad speller or something like that. So or the clever one is null reference, whatever it is, all of a sudden the world has changed. We might retire. We're not the provider anymore because we've got our nest egg and we don't have to do that. It's like, then what do we do? And it becomes, this is where we get into those situations where life becomes a little bit frustrating and we can't work out what's going on. We're not quite as settled as we once were.
Yes, correct. And still you have an identity, just your identity has changed and you need to reintegrate the change into your new existence.
And it's one of those things where we want to feel secure. So we're secure with what we're comfortable with, what we know, and that security, that comfort zone. We've talked about comfort zone before. And we become secure in this is what's going on, but life has moved on, things have changed, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's right now? And it becomes really, really challenging for us because we're fighting against two different circumstances. And we have talked about how life is very simple, but we insist on making it complicated. How often do we go back and think about things how they were, and that makes us happier than where our current life is?
Sometimes these changes can be difficult to integrate, but articulating them and speaking to others who's been through the experience may help.
And it's one of those things of also recognizing and living in reality, which is, it sounds like an obvious statement and we all think that we do, but, if we're wanting things to be like they were in the past, that's not possible. We don't have a time machine. We can't go back and redo it. You can't should have done anything, which is it's an insane statement to say, I should have done this.
Yes.
Because you can't. It's impossible. Yes. What you can do is go, okay, now I'm going to do this.
Yes.
Going forward.
You know what my auntie used to say about shoulda? She used to say, shoulda pushed his backside back in bed, but he couldn't.
Exactly. And that's where it's really important when we look at our identity and how it outlives its current job or its previous job. Because your identity is for a certain circumstance. Who am I was at a certain point in time, and now times move forward. We're dealing with a situation slightly differently, and that becomes who am I?
Yes. And again, articulating it and speaking to it and getting used to it, integrating it, pulling on that identity. You've changed. Your circumstances have changed. Everything changes, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It is.
It is okay. And that's part of the thing of life is, where we are and where we are, we deal with things the way we deal with. Certainly helps if you've got a clear objective. That makes a big difference because you know where you're going. Think about it in any moment. What am I here? What am I trying to do in this moment? It might be I'm going to enjoy this wonderful sunshine coming in the window here at the Banjo's Cafe in Seymour Street, Traralgon.
And I'm going to enjoy a wonderful Banjo's coffee.
And we're going to enjoy Ophelia the Lumineers singing Ophelia.
When I was younger, I should have known better, and I can't feel no remorse, and you don't feel nothing bad. I got a new girlfriend. He feels like he's on top, and I on my mind, girl, since the flood. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. Got a little paycheck, you got big plans, and you gotta move. And I don't feel nothing at all. And you can't feel nothing small. Honey, I love you, that's all she wrote. You've been on my mind, girl, like a drug. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. Oh, Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, since the flood. Oh, Ophelia, heaven help a fool who falls in love. Oh, Ophelia, you've been on my mind, girl, like a drug.
What's really interesting about the "Who am I" statement is a lot of the times, nearly all of the times, someone's interpretation of who you are is more about a reflection of what they perceive and their beliefs rather than who you actually are. Which is why, in one circumstance, one person might say, "Hey, take what you're doing as a direct, to the point action," and someone else might take that same action as you being intimidated and controlling.
Yes. And often it's going on old information.
Yeah.
Information that's happened in the past, and it's rarely updated.
Well, it's old information from their perspective,
Yes.
but they might have had a whole bunch of experiences where they've experienced that behavior as being a certain thing, and then they project that onto you. And so then you start to question yourself and go, well, what's going on here? Well, why am I? And that really can influence your behavior a lot, and sometimes in a negative way.
Yes, it can actually. And researchers Susan Cross and Laura Madison developed the concept of relational interdependent self. That's where you can change your tone and attitude depending on the circumstance and who you're speaking to. It could be a child where you soften your tone. It could be a sibling where you revisit those times gone by, or it could be an ex-partner where you feel a little bit hostile. In each of those situations, your persona or identity may change slightly to suit the circumstances.
It certainly does, and I've had that experience myself in a number of times where you start to react a certain way because the person perceives you a certain way, and then all of a sudden you start to take that on board and go, "Hang on a minute, what am I doing this? It's not who I am," but it's like that perception. It becomes this loop where we're starting to behave in a way and go, "Well, that's not how I'd like to behave," and being aware of that actually helps you actually change it and do it slightly differently.
I wonder if that's the parasympathetic nervous system activating
Yeah.
and exciting the amygdala before we get to cognitively actually process what's going on in the prefrontal cortex.
Well, and this is where it's really, really important to recognize what's going on in that circumstance when someone's reflecting something back to you. If someone says, and it's become quite common recently, where someone goes, "I'm offended by that," and we take that on board as that we were offensive, whereas the reality is the person says, "I'm offended," which is a trigger. It's a key information there. That's them. That's their perception. Doesn't mean what was being said was offensive. It's just an interpretation.
Correct. Our parasympathetic nervous system would repel immediately as if I have done something wrong.
Yeah.
But realistically, when we interpret that situation, it's the other person that's offended, not you.
Yeah.
So it's really a separate situation where we take ownership for, which maybe we shouldn't
Absolutely. And that's where we want to make sure when we're in situations like that, is to be aware of that perception. So we go, well, if it was a fact, then it'd be the same for everyone. So when someone's saying that you're looking at you and your identity and go, well, this is how you are, and it's like, well, is that the same for everybody? Because then it becomes a whole different situation, and you can then make a more informed decision as to who am I?
Correct. Or there may be a slight misunderstanding
Mm.
or a misperception in interpretation of what's been intended.
Absolutely. And this is where a lot of times you want to look at what the other person's doing, going, well, how are they interpreting in that? And maybe they need a little bit of love. Maybe they want your love, or I want your love. And here's Transvision Vamp.
An afternoon arrives and you find nobody needs your help. No one needs your advice. No one needs to speak to you about anything urgently. And all of a sudden, your quiet, peaceful afternoon feels very disruptive.
Very restless as well. Many times we
Indeed.
get that where we have this situation where we have this, who am I? I'm someone that provides help. And this often happens with carers. I was recently having that discussion with a friend of mine. Her son is going off to college, and she's kind of feeling a little bit lost because she's always that carer needing to be there. And in those circumstances, it's like, how do we address that? What do we do? Because we've got an identity set around a certain set of behaviors, the carer, and all of a sudden we don't need to do that anymore. And we can get a little bit lost, a little bit sad.
I don't give advice. I think it's good advice to actually sit back and enjoy that moment find that book you've been trying to thumb through, or the magazine, or just have a little, sit back and relax. Cup of tea and a bicky maybe, and enjoy that moment, because it will come to a close and you will be called upon to do something very soon.
Well, it is, and it's really important. We talk about naming things. It's very important not to recognize what's going on in those situations, because this uncomfortable feeling that we've got, this restlessness in those quiet moments. It's not necessarily just being a carer and going. It might be that you've actually got a quiet moment between doing a task or something like that, and it might be a reflection that you need. It might be time like that. So just naming it for what it is and going, if you're feeling restless and uncomfortable, recognizing it and naming it for what it is, all of a sudden you can put yourself in perspective and ask, what is it, my objective here? And sometimes it's just nice to sit in the sun like a little putty cat and curl up.
Correct. That may take a considerable amount of cognitive processing to achieve that. I was listening to a neuro scientist recently, and she was saying that this restless feeling when you are resting could be programmed from your childhood, from growing up in a very busy household where sitting idle was frowned upon.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where we have these situations in our mind where, because it was created from an early time, and it becomes uncomfortable to do something different because of those beliefs that we're holding. As Noel said, it could have been a busy childhood where you had this expectation where you should be doing something, and to not do something, you're lazy. Or it might be the other way too, where you're actually, you're used to just not doing something because that's just how you were. And then when you actually got to do something, it feels uncomfortable and you pull yourself back. But you've got these goals that you want to achieve, and you might have, certain things you want in your life, but that requires a certain amount of effort, and you keep pulling yourself back to not doing that effort, and all of a sudden you haven't achieved what you want to achieve.
It's about creating a balance for oneself, actually. Equal amounts of rest and activity and productivity.
And we'll always pull ourselves back to that. This happens a lot for people with financial self-sabotage. People who build up a significant amount of wealth and then do things that just are silly things that they wouldn't have done before, and brings them back. And this is where who am I is really important, and understanding that, especially at an unconscious level, because you will unconsciously pull yourself back to what you think you should be.
Indeed, it will. Self-sabotage is a biggie. And, it takes some pretty in-depth fortitude to go back and look at oneself to address some of those issues.
Yeah. And then when you get comfortable with that, it becomes a little bit easier, like anything in life. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But we have that situation where, if we want the good life, we need to be reflective and understand what's going on and pay attention. And then just enjoy those moments as they come for what they are.
Enjoy.
Here's OneRepublic.
Woke up in London yesterday, found myself in the city
else to complain about.
Some answers to who I am arrive early. When you're young, you're part of a family. When you're in school, you're going to school. When you go to work, you're giving a title. This changes throughout your life, but really, who am I?
It's an interesting point, an interesting question that we're dealing with, because a lot of times we want this definitive answer and we've got to, we work towards it. And as a kid, we kind of expect and accept that, we're not really sure, and we go through this process and adolescent hits. And that's when we kind of really exploring our identity. And then we start to lock in. And then from that point, we become really, really rigid. But realistically, life keeps moving forward all throughout our life. And it's giving yourself this permission to remain unfinished. It's like we're looking for this result to get there, but the result to get there is you drop dead. So don't rush it. And it is, who am I? It's this, this ability to go, okay, I'm a constantly evolving being. I will never be finished until I'm no longer here. And allowing yourself to explore and to enjoy those little things like Noel does when he goes on holidays, getting this big tasting plate and trying things that are different because it helps you evolve and grow.
It does, and it builds your character. And then when you take your story to someone else and to talk about your experience, you have a more richer experience to pass over to someone else.
It certainly does. And paying attention to what's going on in your body, recognizing that, when a certain circumstance happens and your body might tense, you go, okay, I recognize that. And naming it. Naming is a really, really important thing, because when you name it, all of a sudden you recognize what it is and you can do something with it.
Yep. Once you start to be able to articulate your emotions, you take the intensity out of that feeling and start to find self-emotional regulation.
It's really important that, and recognizing that these situations, this comfort zone, we're chasing the comfort zone because it feels like it should be safe, but it's actually quite a dangerous spot to be in, because we start to then are focusing more on ourselves and what's going on internally than what's going on externally. And again, I'm going to come back to Clint Eastwood. I love what he talked about, is that really listening to what's going on around you. It's really, really critical to pay attention rather than projecting, going, I want it to be this way, which can be really difficult to do anything. If you haven't got good feedback, how can you adjust to what's going on around you?
Correct. And remember, moss can't grow on a rolling stone.
There is that too. It certainly can't. But sometimes it's also nice to have a bit of a stop and enjoy that. There's the sunshine, which we're certainly enjoying the sunshine here at Banjo's Cafe on Seymour Street in Traralgon.
Hasn't it been wonderful?
It has been wonderful. And I've nearly finished my second coffee, so I haven't jumped out of my skin yet, so I'm doing all right. But it is a wonderful way to start the day here in Latrobe City, because it's more than you imagined.
What a great place. The sun's coming out.
Yeah.
It was quite mild this morning, even though we're in the midst of winter.
So it's one of those things where there's so much happening there in life. And if we get stuck into a certain, this is who I am, we actually start to lose the ability to notice what's going on around us.
Yes, we do. And there's so much to take in. There's so much to learn. We live in a wonderful world, having a wonderful life.
It's one of those things where, again, if we're really listening to what's going on around us, just paying attention, just quietly watching, some leaves blowing in the trees there, and some people having a conversation, just little things around you, and you take that in, and all of a sudden, who am I? Becomes a broader experience, and you're enjoying all these little things in life that are really, really important. And it also helps that clarity that we have as to where we're going as well, because we go, okay, I'm here, I'd like to go there. I know where I am. And when you know where you are, it's a good starting spot, because if you don't know where you are, it's hard to start to go anywhere.
Correct. So that might be a good question to start today.
Certainly would be.
Who am I?
Who am I? Exactly. And also too, looking out there and our final song is Something in the Orange by Zach Bryan. But really have a think about that. When you're looking at in the orange, the sunrises, the sunsets, what's in that? And when we look at, we see all these different little things that we can take on board and affect who we are. It's been a wonderful morning with you. Hopefully you've had a wonderful time. I've had a wonderful time with you, Noel. It's been
Thank
great.
you.
The producer's been doing a great job as well. So big shout out
Thank
to
you,
the
Mr. Producer. Yes.
Here's Hope you have a wonderful week. This is First Light, discovering our Eden of the East, because Latrobe City
Is more than you can imagine.
And here's Zach Bryan and Something in the Orange.
It'll be fine by dusk cloud, I'm telling you, baby. These things eat at your bones and drive your young mind crazy. But when you place your hand between my collar and jaw, I don't know much, but there's no weight at all. And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. 'Cause if I say I miss you, I know that you won't. But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun. Something in the orange tells me we're not done. I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. I need to hear you say you've been waiting all night. There's orange dancing in your eyes from bulb light. Your voice only trembles when you try to speak. Take me back to us dancing this wood used to creep. To you I'm just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. Just a man, to me you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something in the orange tells me you're never coming home. If you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees, and dew, how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around. Please turn those headlights around.